Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I am here to talk to you all about the 5 books that I read in the month of July. Now I will say today is July 30th, so I technically have today and tomorrow, and I do think I'm going to finish a book tomorrow. So technically these stats I'm about to give you are false because I wanted to pre-film this video. But if you want to see the actual real stats, definitely be sure to wait for my July reading journal video where I will put the actual, all the books I read and all the correct stats there. But these are just the stats for the first 30 days, 29 days of July. First we have my moods. My moods, I personally feel like are always the same. I don't think my moods ever change. They are constantly the same. It looks like this month I mostly read mysterious, tense, adventurous books with a little sprinkle of emotional, dark, and funny. I read quite a bit of fantasy this month, which is really new for me, but I'm not gonna lie, I have had the fantasy itch really badly. Right now I'm currently reading a thriller and I want to read more fantasy. I can see that. So I did read 3 fantasy, 2 horror, 1 LGBTQIA+, 1 young adult, 1 thriller, 1 science fiction, 1 romance, 1 mystery. Now my average rating for this month is so good. It is a 4.5. To have a 4.5 average rating for the month is absolutely crazy. I had 2 5 stars, 2 4 stars, and 1 4.5. This was such a good reading month for me. I can't wait to talk about it. And then lastly, the amount of pages I read this month so far is 1,856. If you do not know, my goal for the month is always to reach 2,000 pages. I have 2 more days to do so. Definitely think I can get that 144 more pages done within the next couple of days, but that is what I've read so far the first 29 days. The first book that I finished in July, which I'm so sad this took me so long to read. I had family visiting at the end of June, beginning of July, and I didn't read for 6 days. It was kind of crazy, and I was in the midst of this book, and I was so sad because I was so excited to finish it, and I had to wait so long. It's Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. This is the start of the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. I gave this 5 stars. I absolutely loved this book. I had such a great time with it. I knew from reading the synopsis before purchasing that I would like this book, but I just didn't expect to love it as much as I did. I know it's really well loved right now, and I've seen a few people say they don't really like it for some of the humor, but I find the humor to be just so dumb, kind of dumb funny, but I think that's the point. So in this book, you're following Carl, and I will say the action starts pretty quickly. You don't get too much of a backstory. You learn the backstory as you go. Essentially, he is in his apartment one night. He's in his and his ex-girlfriend's apartment. They had just broken up, and he has her cat, and she's like a prize-winning cat. She's this big poofy Princess Donut poofy cat, and he is smoking on the balcony at 2 a.m. and the cat jumps outside, runs down the street. So he runs down the street to catch the cat, and within seconds, every single building, car, anything that's an inside is down underground, and everybody that's outside of the buildings survives, and everybody that is inside these buildings dies. And immediately this alien spaceship overlord is kind of blasting through a speaker that you don't know where that's coming from. The Earth being congratulations, you survived. You have 2 choices. You can either stay on Earth and try and fend for yourself with whatever resources are left, or you can go down these tunnels and join the Dungeon Crawler game. That's a galactic apocalypse survival game that is shown and broadcast all throughout the universe. So Carl and Princess Donut decided to go down a tunnel, and that's where our games begin. Each dungeon has certain levels, so we start on level 1, and this is where you kind of learn all the ropes and learn all the steps, and it reads just like a video game. You read the achievements, you read what each character is. There's Bad Llama, level 3. You read each thing, and it reads as a video game, and it's so funny. And I just found it to be such yes, it's funny, and it was a really fun time, but there were some really heartwarming moments as well. It was such a great little mix, and I really had such a good time with this one. I cannot wait to continue this series. I already bought the 2nd book. I'm ready. I loved Dungeon Crawler Carl. My next 5 star of the month was We Live Here Now by Sarah Pinborough. I picked this up at Target on a whim because I saw these end pages. I thought the cover was really cool. This has to be a horror, so I picked it up, and both of these books are actually a part of my mood reading vlog, so if you are interested in watching that, I'll put a link down below. I had such a good mood reading time. I ended up giving this 5 stars. I loved this. It reads so fast. The chapters are so short and so quick. The horror elements moments were really, really good and kind of exactly what I look for sometimes in a horror. So in this, you're following 2 separate POVs, sometimes 3, but the third one is kind of irrelevant. It's just like a raven that is outside of this home and it comes in every once in a while, like comes into the story, not into the house. You're following Freddie and Emily, and they both move to this house, this manor, after Emily wakes up like very quickly from a coma. She was in a hiking accident, went into a coma. She wakes up, Freddie's like, I bought this house, and they quickly move in. Things are super spooky in this house, very paranormal, but they are also kind of on the rocks as a relationship. You know that both of them have their secrets, and you kind of are finding those out along the way. And of course, the house is for sure haunted, so it's kind of perfect. I tend to be really picky when it comes to horror endings because sometimes I feel like the book can be so good for like 80%, really spooky, but then the end can fall really, really flat. And I found this ending to wrap the whole story up perfectly. It was a really great twist at the end. I enjoyed this so much so that I actually purchased Sarah Pinborough's thriller Behind Her Eyes, and I'm currently reading that. That's what I think I'm going to finish within the next couple of days because I loved this writing so much. This was so good. I haven't seen a lot of people talking about it, but they need to be because this is fantastic. So now that I finished my Hunger Games reread/read, I was really enjoying reading one book that it's a part of a series each month. It just was something to look forward to, and I figured, you know what, it's been about 1.5 years since I read the last book in Throne of Glass. I need to keep going. I really enjoyed that series, and I wanted to finish it. I want to finish it this year, and I will because I read Air of Fire this month. This is the 3rd book in the Throne of Glass series. Of course, I've already read the first 3, which was Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and then I read Assassin's Blade, which is the prequel, and then of course I read Air of Fire. I gave this 4.5 stars. I loved this. So I loved the initial buildup of Throne of Glass. We're following Selena. She is an assassin in this kingdom. She is saved from this like salt mines that she's essentially a slave in, saved by the prince to compete in the king's like games to get a champion, and then the champion is like the king's champion. She does things for the king. And the first few books were really great. I think this one really took it over for me as far as I think I'm really going to love this series. Like I said, the first few books are really fun, very like fantasy fun, a little bit of romance. I feel like this was a turning point for me. In this book, we are following multiple POVs. The first few books, you're just following from Selena, and in this book, you're following so many different points of views because so many different characters are scattered across the lands. You're also meeting new characters. I felt like this was such a turning point for me because I really enjoyed reading each and every point of view. There wasn't a single point of view I did not like. There was a couple I wasn't sure about because these are new people to me. I just feel like I recognize the names and I know they're going to be important later. So I was just so excited reading this. I cannot wait to read Queen of Shadows. I'm like, okay, August 1st. When is it August? Because I'm so ready to pick up Queen of Shadows and find out what happens because it always ends on like not necessarily a cliffhanger, but like she's about to go do something and I cannot wait to see what happens. So I'm so happy to be back in the Throne of Glass series, in the Throne of Glass realm. I will say I started with ACOTAR when it came to Sarah J. Maas, and I love ACOTAR, but I feel like Throne of Glass is kind of gearing up to potentially be my favorite series from her. Potentially, because I'm really loving it. Next up, I read Knock Knock Open Wide by Neil Sharpson. This cover has been speaking to me. I'm obsessed with this. Okay, this cover spoke to me and I just knew I needed to read this. I was like itching to read a horror. This is 4 stars. This was so good. So this is essentially Irish folklore, Irish urban legend. If again, you know anything about me, you know that I love urban legend horror. That's something that I have found within the past few months that just really speaks to me when it comes to horror, and I really enjoy it. So in this one, you're following a past and present timeline. The past timeline, you're following this woman named Etane, I think it is. She is like 18. She's driving home from like a party on Halloween night after just getting engaged to her boyfriend, and she sees like a dead body on the side of the road, and for some reason, girl decides, I need to take this body and give it a proper burial. The thought process is a little whack, but you know what? That's her. She stumbles upon a farmhouse while she's driving. She's like, this is great, I'll take it to them. And then just like weird stuff happens. And they don't really go into detail about what happens, but it forever changes her. It forever changes the trajectory of her life. She goes missing, but then is found, and this investigator tries to like figure out what happens. So you're following the investigator as she's trying to figure out what happened. So that timeline spans the entirety of the book as well. But then you also get the present timeline where you meet Etaine's daughter, Aisling, who goes to college. She's in the drama club. She meets this girl named Betty. They form a relationship, and Betty is slowly finding out Aisling's backstory and like why she's like a little messed up, and obviously it traces back to her mom, so then Betty's figuring that out as it goes, and the story just gets more crazy and more intense as it goes. Like, it starts off like that, and even that sounds crazy, but that's kind of tame compared to where the story goes. It's all weirdly based around this childhood show where there's two people and then like a black box where like you're never supposed to open the box. I don't know how to even continue to explain it. All of this is in the synopsis. I just fear that if you like horror and you like urban legend, you should read this, especially because Neil Sharpson's next book is coming out soon, and it is also Irish folklore, and I'm ready for it. This was so great. This was 4 stars. And then last but not least, I actually just finished this recently, is A Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. This is the first in the trilogy. I gave this 4 stars as well. See, I'm telling you guys, I had such a great reading month. I was really excited to get into this trilogy. I did read the Caraval trilogy a couple years ago, last year. I don't know, time is fleeting. And I really enjoyed it. Stephanie Garber's writing is super whimsical, very dreamy, very like fairy tale-esque. It's very beautiful to read. And I knew that I wanted to read this trilogy after that because you technically, I guess, are supposed to, but reading is reading. You can do whatever you want. I don't see a difference. You could absolutely read this one first if you wanted. But in this one, we're following Evangeline Fox and the Prince of Hearts. And the Prince of Hearts is introduced in the Caraval trilogy, and the events of Caraval kind of happen in this book, but like very short, like chunk, and then it moves on to this. So this is after the events of Caraval. You're following Evangeline Fox. She is seeking out the Prince of Hearts. He is a fate, which you learn about the fates in Caraval, which I really like their backstories. I think it's really interesting and whimsical and fairy tale-esque. And she seeks him out because the man she loves is getting married to someone else. And she's like, what do you mean? We were in love. And he strikes up a deal with her that she has to kiss 3 people and he will, you know, help whatever happens. And this ends up being kind of like a very fun, whimsical, fairy tale-esque story with lots of different things that are happening along the way. I will say, I don't know if I talked about this when I talked about Caraval, but this book has the same vibe where a lot of plot holes happen and things happen just to move the story along, and it seems very strange, but I guess that's just Stephanie Garber's writing, I guess, because that's how it was in Caraval too. Some things just don't make sense, but you just follow along as you go because, I don't know, it's sweet and pretty and fun. And I really had a good time with this one. I will definitely be continuing this trilogy. I found the characters to be super lovable. There's a lot of characters. I didn't have trouble distinguishing between each character like sometimes I can in different books, but this was fun. This was a sweet little YA fantasy, and I really enjoyed it, and I definitely suggest it as well. And then, like I said, I think I am going to finish a 6th book tomorrow, but I'll just talk about it in the August wrap up because I'm very excited to film this video and get it up for you guys. But those are all 5 books that I read in the month of July. I had such a great reading month. I love when that happens. It's so perfect and wonderful, and it makes reading so much fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go ahead and subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.